Good evening, everybody. This is Rob Mazak. I am a psychic medium. Those of you that have listened to me before, you understand that I do these talks, these podcasts, unscripted, without an agenda, just some ideas going into it to see how it turns out and kind of mix up all the genres. It is not necessarily something that is all spiritual or all metaphysical or all scientific. It all kind of mixes together, and in reality they all are the same things, in my opinion, with just different languages, different actions, things like that. Tonight I'm kind of coming in with some ideas, and I'm not exactly how I'm going to form this. We're going to just see how it goes. There's been some things that have come up over the last few days, dreams and conversations and different things that I wanted to talk about. And I don't even know what we're going to end up titling this podcast. It'll be a mystery, I'm sure, as are most things that I talk about. And remember that the things I talk about are not necessarily truths or facts. They are ideas, different ways of looking at things, different interpretations. It's my view, perhaps. Some of the experiences that I've had throughout my journey as a professional intuitive, through my own journeys, through my clients' journeys. And let me tell you, we learn something from everybody. Absolutely everybody. Doesn't matter whether you're the teacher or the student, you are going to learn something from everybody. But isn't that the goal, really? We're put on this earth, this place, in this reality, whatever you classify it as, with purpose, in my opinion, of growing and experiencing what it's like to be human. And one of the things that I have picked up on and have obviously lots of experiences with doing hypnosis and things like that is that what I'm hearing from clients in the symbiotic state, the very deep levels of consciousness, is that we are not necessarily always human, in that we've had many experiences, different lives, different places, different types. You might be a rock, you might be from, the planet Sirius B. I mean, there's a lot of different things that we can be, according to my experiences. Once again, I'm not offering them as proof. But when you're on the level of the subconscious, the theta level, you are really connected with everything there is about you, past, present, future, and basically you're connected to the cosmic internet, if you will. Anything about everything is possible with that connection. Just like the internet we have now, you can go on and search just about anything. You can find it. If you want to know how to change a window in a 1974 Volkswagen Beetle, if you have one, you can likely find it. When you search it up and boom, there it is. People have videos. It's crazy, the amount of information that's out there. But imagine being able to tap into the information of the cosmos, the universe, or all there is, whatever's out there, if there's anything out there. But I think this conversation kind of spurred me on today after having a conversation with my other half, and she had some of her folks that were really hounding her and giving her a lot of grief, if you will, about the doctrine of religion and the fact that the particular family member they were talking about might go to hell if she does certain things, or if she doesn't try to go through certain therapies and just goes ahead and dies and all these kind of things. And it just really struck me hard today that we are wrapped around such ideas of truths that none of us can literally ever prove. I don't care how you break it down. To say something for absolute fact is an absolute wrong way of doing business, because none of us really, really know. There's just no way. If we think we're going to go to hell, or based on our practices or our religious upbringing, we have no way to prove that other than through writings that have been edited and books left out and things changed. And different rulers throughout the times have destroyed parts of it, changed it completely, translations, you name it, stories written 200-300 years after the fact, sometimes thousands of years. I don't know about you, but me trying to recount a story or facts from something that happened last week is very difficult sometimes. Much less 100, 200,000 years later. It's crazy. I mean, that's no different than me deciding I'm going to write a gospel. Okay, let's say I'm going to write a gospel. Then I want to get included in the Bible, for example. And I'm basing this off of my own experience and hearsay and what I've read and all these kind of things. And to me, that's where my struggle is. I'm not saying that the Bible's not authentic or other religious texts that are very similar in meaning and ideas out there, that they're not factual in some ways or divine. I'm not saying that. I'm just looking at things a little pragmatically. That, it's difficult at best to look at these things and understand somebody's going to go to hell because they're not doing this or doing that or saying certain things or doing certain acts. It's kind of hard to imagine that people so hardcore believe in things without ever doing any research into things. Now, I'm not saying this like I'm some holier than thou person or somebody better than anybody else, because I've been there. I've been wrapped around that too. We all find ourselves in different belief systems. And, of course, my belief system is my belief system and yours is yours. And all those belief systems, those perceptions, those truths are formed through our experiences, our upbringing, the way we were raised, the religions we were indoctrinated in, the cultures where we lived, just all kinds of things divide and conquer our mind and create these truths that we think are absolute truths, which, they could be, but the chances of them being provable to the point where you could convince somebody absolutely about your truth is far from ever being possible. And it just kind of really, really struck me. We even argue about our realities, whatever this is. Everybody, I have seen so much argument and debate that this is a globe earth, that this is a flat earth, this is a simulation, and it's a hologram, and just so many different things, that there's lands outside of the Arctic Circle, which is not really a continent, right? Well, that's the statements, the things that people are putting forth. But people, you got to be careful what you say as truths, because you literally cannot prove those things. It's just not possible. Even scientific experiments are bantered around and altered by the beliefs of the scientist. So they have to remove the scientist in order to get a solid idea on how experiments actually come out, or the outcomes of those experiments. Let me back up. I had a conversation by text, by typing on Facebook today with somebody that, I've never met, and we can call those people on our social media friends if you like, but they're really just acquaintances, because I only know maybe a handful of the 5,000 I have on there. And it was about a post where a pastor, I want to say it's Nigeria, I don't know, I don't remember, but there was a pastor that claimed that the rapture didn't happen on April 25th because the world was forgiven because he fasted for 21 days. And I was like, oh my gosh, you got to be careful what you fall into, people. You really do. And I'm not saying that there's not truth in that, but I doubt it. Yeah, that's just me. Anyway, in this conversation, we even questioned, back and forth with this woman that was in the comments, because I had posted something to the effect of that, at least in the Bible, I don't know all the religious beliefs in scriptures across the planet. I've delved into a little bit. They seem very similar, but I'm sure these are all similar. Is that at least in the Bible it says that no man will ever know the time or the hour or the day of the returning of the Messiah. Now I don't know if that's literal. I don't know any of that. But the point to my comment was, why are you believing in a man or a person who is claiming things when it's very clearly written that nobody will ever know for fact when this is supposed to happen? Once again, we talked about the scriptures maybe being altered and tainted and all that, but I think you get my point. And it was interesting, the conversation that we had, not too many back and forths, but when I made that comment, this woman basically said that no man could ever utter the time, date, arrival time of the Messiah. But then she proceeded to go on to say that the reason that no man can say it is because it's not going to be given to a man, that the Messiah is basically female or feminine. And I found that really interesting. And I didn't necessarily disagree with her. I said, because if you think about it, men are not as creative as women. Women can create. They can create life. They just have such a better creative mind. There are countries and places where men are in charge, or some of the most bland places there are. So I didn't necessarily disagree with her, but then as I'm thinking about it tonight, I was like, we don't even know truly what God is, or whatever you would call it. Well, there's a lot of names for God, but we'll use God right now. God meaning someone or something that created this place where we reside in, that we exist in. All these years, at least all my years, I'm sure way beyond that, God has been pictured and designed or written about as the Father, a man, as a creator. But just like this woman says, if you think about it, men are not all that creative, so it would make sense if God might actually be female. But once again, none of us really and truly know. There's no way we can. Even those of us that feel like we've met God, and I feel like I have, and some really crazy meditation journeys I've had using crystals and different things, and we still don't know. We absolutely do not know. And I really caution you guys to be careful with what people are telling you and what people are stating as truths, as absolute facts. I mean, if you look at the last 60 years or so, we should have all been dead by now. I mean, the rapture is supposed to have happened so many times. The end of the world is supposed to have happened so many times. And if you look back at biblical times and all the written records we have, it's been something that's been coming around. Every generation that's been before us and probably be after us has always thought that the signs were matching the written prophecies. But in all the cases that I know about, that I've researched at least, I'm not saying I know everything, but none of those prophecies have come true. None of those ideas have come true. The world has not ended. There has not been a so-called rapture. And even if you look at the word rapture, guess what, people? The word doesn't actually exist in the Bible, by the way. I mean, there's some things that allude to it, to the word, but there's not, that word is actually not used. Anyway, I'll go back to the original thought I was just talking about, is that the end of the world has been prophesied so many times. Look back at just our recent history. I mean, let's look back at Y2K, right? When the year 2000 rolled around and all the computers that were based on 2-digit years, at the stroke of midnight on the year 2000, everything was going to just fall into catastrophe. The world was going to go dark and everything was going to end and it was going to be horrible. And guess what? Nothing happened. Absolutely nothing happened. And let's look at 2012, right? Because of the Mayan prophecy, the calendar that they found. By the way, they did not just find that Mayan calendar just a few years or so before 2012. Did you know that the United States Capitol has that Mayan calendar on it? The United States Capitol was built in the 1800s. Look at the mural at the top. Guess what you see? The Mayan calendar. So, yeah, I think somebody's blowing some smoke there, right? So, the world did not end in 2012. At least not that we're aware of. And just so many things have come around that are supposed to put us in doom and death and everything's going away. And it's just incredible. I mean, even now, if you look at the state of the world and if you base it on the book of Revelations, for example, you'll see a lot of synchronicities, a lot of comparisons that make sense that the book of Revelations is happening. It's just me, but if I was running the world and I wanted to control billions of people, I would run that script, even if that script was not true. But going back to the earlier when we were talking about how the Bible is loosely translated and edited and changed and all that, right? But the book of Revelations, or Revelation, is actually a dream that the Apostle Paul had on the island of Patmos. Was basically a jail island. He was put there as a jail sentence. So what we are basing on, or for the end of the world, is based on one man's dream, one man's vision. I mean, what's the difference in me writing a book about the end of the world or the prophecies of the end times based on visions I've had? I've had lots of them. Many people I know have had lots of them. Once again, we have to be mindful of what we latch onto. And I know we should have some kind of truth. We should have some kind of idea, some kind of semblance of right and wrong, some kind of path that guides us and to be decent human beings and to treat others right and to get through this life in some sort of ordered fashion. And religion does do that for us. It does give us guidelines and frameworks and boundaries. But religion can also go very astray. I told you this one might be going all over the place. I mean, I grew up in a religious cult, a religious commune for my whole childhood. So I can talk about that for a very, very long time. A good thing gone bad. We're all humans. We're all going to allow things to get out of control, especially when it comes to controlling people and money and things and relationships and people. It's real easy to do. I challenge you guys to actually do the work. Put in the research. Put in the time to understand what it is you think you believe in. And decide then if what your perception is dialed into, what your belief system is dialed into, seems accurate enough to you, then roll with it. But remember, it doesn't mean that it's true. There's so many ideas about where we are going to go when we die. I mean, we kind of started this whole conversation, this whole podcast with that idea. But do we really know? Nobody knows. I mean, many religions teach about going, either to heaven or to hell, or the Catholic religion talks about purgatory, where you can kind of sit in between, and you have, I think it's the Muslim religion where they talk about, having 70 virgins and all these kind of things. I don't know what that does for the women. It seems like, I don't know. Anyway, I'll digress on that. Then you have the metaphysical side. For example, in my world, we talk about reincarnation. And to me, there's a lot of quote-unquote evidence, or at least repeatable patterns that I've seen in people and myself that seem to suggest that we do come back and do things differently by, as a different being or a different person for various reasons. But once again, I cannot prove that either. Even those people that can remember other lives very, very specifically, and there's some really bona fide, accurate stories out there. How do we know that that person actually was the person that they're speaking of? And it's pretty credible in a lot of cases. Could they just have simply been given a download of a life somehow, or somehow bumped into that energy, whatever, by connecting with the cosmic internet, even by accident? Because as kids, we're wide open. And so we could be just kind of bumping into memories and downloading them and not even knowing it. So once again, that's not absolute proof either. I was watching a video earlier, just a quick one, where it talks about the fact that when we die, that DMT, massive amounts of DMT, actually get released in the brain. And DMT is a very big hallucinogen, I guess you would say. And this is what gets opened and activated through things like ayahuasca and plant medicine, things like that. The speaker was saying that we simply are getting this massive vision as we die, and the light that you see that you're going towards and all these different things. So I don't know. I think all of us would hope that when we die that it's something else, that we get to remember and learn that we're simply going on to be some other energy. And if you base life on the physical laws of the universe as we are taught, and we know that energy cannot be created nor destroyed, only changed in form, then there's some hope, right? I hope. Well, I hope. We all hope. We don't just go into some abyss when we die. But you can even compare it to sleeping, for that matter, because sleeping is really interesting phenomenon. It's like we go off and we journey into different lives and different experiences without our conscious mind being in the way. And we get a lot of classical, interesting messages. I want to touch on that in a minute. If you think about sleep, it's like death without the finality of death. It's like the cousin of death. It's like we get to understand what it might be like to be dead, but we're not dead. But we're not really, I guess we are alive, but we're not, at least consciously. It's a weird phenomenon. So there's a lot of interesting things out there, a lot of ideas, and a lot of beliefs that you can really latch onto. And what I've found, at least in my life, is that I pretty much settled on the fact that I don't hardcore believe 100% in any of the things that I research or experience. I think, to be honest, that they're all right, and they could all be wrong. But in my opinion, everybody's right. Everybody is right, and it doesn't matter what I think or what I feel or what I experience. It really doesn't matter. And so it's interesting. For example, I just had a dream last night, and I remember them in the middle of the night, and if I don't take the time to write some little message, I'll forget. But last night I thought it was worth the time to write down a little snippet. And what I remember, it's a dream that I haven't had before, or symbology that I've never had before. Pretty good at interpreting dreams, but this one was a little different. Found myself in a hospital with my other half, I believe. I think that's who was with me. But we were witnessing a couple of people being brought in on a gurney or some kind of stretcher. It looked like they were kind of messed up. And I thought these doctors were going to chase us away. I don't know why we were in this hospital. But they said, you want to stay and watch the surgery? And we're like, oh yeah, sure, cool. So we go into this room where they're going to do the surgery, and there's lots of people in there. And what was interesting is everybody that was in there, including me, I looked down at my shirt. It was a white shirt, like you might wear in a hospital, right? Not a coat, but a white shirt. But it was stained black in various places around it. And as I looked around the room, everybody in that room had a white shirt, at least, with all these black stains on it. And I can't help but think that it's talking about that us as souls are here, right, to help everybody else. And I think there are some select ones that are here specifically to help humanity ascend and to get through their evolution to the connection with the source, if you will, to God, back to the spiritual realm, whatever you want to call it. And I think the hospital is a very good representation of the fact that many of us are here to help those that are sick or that are out of balance or that need direction. And I believe that the people in the room with the white shirts that were all stained black basically represented those select few, if you will, that were pure of heart, but very stained because this world, this reality is just way different than anything I've ever witnessed in the spiritual world, the spiritual realm, through myself and others. And that those that are here to help are being very much, what's the right word, tainted, dragged through the mud, beat down. It is a very interesting experience for a special spirit, a specialized spirit. I think you get my point. This dream or these dreams or any dreams really are interesting because they have solid messages. They have ideas. They have things that are being given to us through the process of basically death. We are dying to ourselves every time we go to sleep and allowing our conscious mind to turn off and allow our true selves to go out and experience things without real danger, if you will. Be honest. I mean, you're out there, you're experiencing lives. In this case, I was in a hospital being represented as one of the chosen. Well, that doesn't mean I am. It's just kind of interesting that it was put that way. We're here to help others. We really are. And everybody's in the same bowl of soup, if you will. Everybody is here trying to ascend at the same time. Helping others really helps you. Once again, you got to be careful about latching on to belief systems just because people have letters behind their name or they claim to have connection with God or Allah or whatever. You should be who you are meant to be, not who somebody else tells you should be. And you should also accept other people for what they believe in. It doesn't mean you have to believe in their stuff. It doesn't mean you have to accept really bad behavior. What I'm saying is everybody's here with a different experience for a different reason. Everybody gets different connection to the source. I just so happen to be able to do it through meditation and many other ways, through dreams. Other people get it different ways. It's okay. Religion also can help people connect. I'm not saying religion is bad. I'm just saying you have to be careful because other people are claiming to know things. That's all I'm saying. And they're just human like the rest of us. I think to summarize, I think the idea behind this talk is to help people understand that we are all here on a journey. We're all here on a journey to learn something. We're all on a journey to experience something. And I think most of that is up to us. I do believe we have markers that we're supposed to meet, things we're supposed to do in this life. But I do believe that we're supposed to pull up our boots, put on our pants, get our hat on, and go out and do things and to experience things and not just sit around and wait on things to happen and hope for the best. I believe that we are our own creators in a lot of ways. I believe there's a creator because this place is way too complex and way too intricate to be just something that just showed up. Something out of nothing, which is very literally impossible. That's so hard to imagine too, that there's always been something. There's never been nothing. That's a double negative. I get it, but you understand my point. We are here because we are put here. In some beliefs, we chose to be here for specific reasons. Well, whatever, we're here. Let's make the most of it, people, and quit hanging on other people's ideas and quit believing everything everybody says without doing your own research. Don't mock people because of their beliefs. Maybe research what they're talking about and see where they're coming from, and help yourself understand where they're coming from, so that maybe their ideas aren't so weird. They're just different. It's okay. So remember, we're all different. We're all here though. Same army, same basic path. We're all here to help each other. We're all in the same sea. We're all part of the same sea. We're all just drops in the sea. And if we cease to participate in the sea, there is no sea. So we're all here together. We're all affecting each other. And the better you are, the better everybody else is. And I will go ahead and wind this down. I'm sorry that I kind of ranted there at the end. But I really would like to hear what you guys have to say about this and whatever else I've talked about on podcasts. Go to my website, lifebymazak.com, LIFEBYMAZAK.com. Find my contact page and look me up. Send me a message. Let's collaborate. Let's talk. I'm really interested in what everybody else has to say about this, because I learn just like I learn from you guys. I learn from everybody just like people learn from me. It's okay. All right, we will talk to you soon. I know you will be hearing from me again. Stay strong and live your life.